That is so much better. Today's start compared to yesterday's start, so hi! Over here. I'm getting used to the camera angles. Alright, give me a sec. Alright, so today's definitely going to be a little more strict on the 30 minutes for the stream. Turn that down just a touch more. This track's a little bit louder than I like. Alright, that should be good. Since that's supposed to be more, more background music, and honestly to help with my nerves than anything. Hold on. So, still working out the bugs as far as routine-wise. Alright. So, I have not yet fixed the camera angle issue, because of how my camera is mounted. So that means every so often, I'm gonna stop and flip it quote-unquote right side up. This side is so dark over here. I really gotta tweak my lighting setup. because I want to make sure you guys have a little bit more light. Alright, so we have part of the hill figured out as far as where the rabbit hole is, and I still have eraser dust here. Try not to smear it. So we have the seaside over here. This is the beach winding back, and then there's the ocean. We'll have part of that coming into like an inlet. Probably add some more rocks and stuff. A mushroom forest, and then the classic amanita mushrooms that the caterpillar is going to be on. So a quick little tour of Wonderland here. And then the mushroom forest turns into a classic deciduous type forest, so I'm not sure if I'm going to add any evergreens. I think they might be distracting to vary the trees too much, especially since it's background. Then I have this nice gnarly tree. You know, I'm debating adding a hanging spruce there, but I kind of feel like, you know, classic Queen of Hearts is, you know, off with their heads, which is part of this stone structure that's here. The weird thing that looks like a dog dish right now, because I don't have the details on it. And then we get further over to a castle tower, which looks very much like a rook in chess, which is actually kind of wonky. Adjust that angle as these come out a little further. But anyway, we'll clean that up later. And then it's not quite Wonderland to me without a crazy signpost of all the locations. So Jabberwock, Castle. Half of this isn't written in yet because I am still behind in getting everything, getting all the concept out and onto the page. So like over here, there's supposed to be hedge maze for the croquet court, and rose garden, and the queen herself, and I believe the frog footman's over here too. Up here will be, at the execution site, will be the knave of hearts and the card guard. So I have most of this figured out at this point. The big thing is the tea party. Tea party moved from the center because it wasn't working there. I just didn't feel like I was going to give enough space to most of the elements, because most of the elements in the prompts are for that I feel are best represented by putting them into the tea party itself. So go ahead and flip that upside down. Hopefully I can read it upside down. Excuse me. So this is most of the tea party stuff. These are the elements that you can expect to see as we keep going on in the prompts. So we have birthday, the Dormouse, Mad Hatter, teapot, March hare, stack of teacups, and the classic hat for the Mad Hatter as well. I don't know if I'm going to have him wear it or not. I might actually just do it as two separate hats. So one is just a top hat, and then of course Mad Hatter will have his classic 10/16, I believe. No, it's 10/6. 10/6. That's it. Yeah, so you can check out my notes as far as where we're going with the Wonderland prompts. Yesterday's prompt was Wonderland landscapes. I did get started on that, and I had some stream settings that were not correct, so you'll notice on Twitch there's no video. I was not able to upload my video over to YouTube because my own software didn't save a copy of the video either. So apparently my hardware, or me, decided to put out an April Fool's joke on us, so I apologize. We should have, you know, more positive information soon. Sorry if, well, I probably apologize far too much, but I do want this to be interesting for you, and right now looking at a slightly blurry and slightly dark sheet of paper is not my idea of a good time. So I'm trying to maybe fix camera angles. Maybe adjust this way a little more. It's a little bit brighter. I can definitely zoom in. Which is probably what we're gonna do. We're probably just gonna zoom in. I can see if I can get a little more detail for this tea party. unfortunately for you guys, stuff's going to be upside down for a moment, because I've been working on trying to get the landscapes in enough so I can go ahead and start adding elements, and I did not quite have enough time to get the Dormouse in on this tea party table. And this ball mount's a little bit loose. That's not holding us at quite the angle I wanted. Hopefully that shows. I apologize, my pencil lines are a bit on the light side too, because with doing watercolor I don't want a whole lot of lines to be competing with what I'm trying to get done. I think that's a little bit better. Alright, so let's try to get a Dormouse in while I get this track off. I will go ahead and download a soundtrack, not a soundtrack, a playlist for us, but at the moment I'm just operating with some stuff that I have that is copyright free. I just have not had a minute to go ahead and listen out to a whole list, make sure it's not going to be competing with me talking. And some of the music might be a little bit more interesting than my talking. I don't know. You'll have to tell me. Feel free to message. I'm here. I can go ahead and see your messages, and I'm happy to respond. So, if you happen to be on YouTube when the video gets posted, I'm hanging out there to go ahead and respond to any messages that you pop up there. So it's one of those, feel free to comment. Playing with the software, getting a little bit more comfortable with the software at least, so there's some good things happening. Alright, so let's get our Dormouse in. And I don't know, the Dormouse has been a character that's been easily changed because it was such a loose character in the original story. I do kind of like how Tim Burton went ahead and flipped gender, but for me, like, the Dormouse didn't really need... I don't know, we have a lot of strong female characters in Alice in Wonderland. You have Alice herself, you have the White Queen, you have the Red Queen. I kind of feel like that's not bad considering, like, the main characters of the story. So, hopefully, hopefully you guys agree. Let me know, what do you think? Should the Dormouse be male or female? Anyways, so right now, I'm just going to pencil in our Dormouse. I've redrawn this table probably half a dozen times. My lines are probably all wonky because of the sketching. I think I'm going to do an ambiguous Dormouse. We're gonna do, I don't know, maybe kind of a bow that could be seen as maybe a bow tie, or a ribbon just tied on, or a sash. You know, it's going to be kind of open to interpretation, but we're gonna go low clothing, as is common for a lot of cartoonish type characters, because this is Wonderland. Wonderland's pretty surreal. I do also want to have this big enough, our Dormouse big enough, so that way it does work as a decent sized sticker, because ultimately that is one of my goals for this project, is if I can figure out the software well enough, then these will become stickers, so lots of learning here. The Dormouse standing at the edge of the table, and I'm just going to go off this edge here. Which will probably mess me up later, not having this corner here, but that's alright. apologize. I'm drawing in more with these characters than I plan to on the stream. The stream is, at least in concept, I planned on going ahead and just painting with you guys instead of drawing. I am pushing through and getting more stuff nailed down concept-wise, so I suspect I will be caught up where we can just paint. But in a way, I kind of don't mind the drawing process on camera, as long as it's not a blurry mess for you guys. Jeez. My camera does not want to focus today. There, can you see me? That's probably not any better. My autofocus seems to not want to focus. Let's push it back here so I can move this over a little bit. Maybe that'll help. We got a little mouse chilling here. Let's see. I think I have my mouse stand. In the original story, the mouse was speaking of some characters living off of treacle, which is, if I recall, like a molasses-like substance. And of course, you can't live off of just sugar, so that wasn't working out so well. Fuzzy legs. We got a baseline, kind of dictated. You know what? I think I might do some like breeches. We'll put some pants on this mouse. That baseline there. Go with the classic little flap in the front with some buttons. Itty bitty details that no one's gonna see unless you get a magnifying glass out. Don't know what error I'm thinking of. I think this mouse is just very kind of like Plunkett and McLean, kind of like Highwayman style. Trying to see what error that was. Okay, so 18th century. Why not? My brain kind of mashes a lot of Victorian and 18th century stuff together, so I'm not surprised. Our mouse has some really broad shoulders right now. We're gonna soften those down a little bit, because, I don't know, I kind of think the Dormouse is a little friendly. I want some really hard edges. I don't know what this Dormouse is doing. Maybe holding a spoon. Just gonna kind of do like the stand and deliver kind of position. Like, hey, coming closer, I'm gonna bop you with the spoon. I have a little saucy mouse. We have a little shape for our spoon. Get rid of the table underneath. I've really got to figure out something with this camera. For as good as my camera is, everything seems to be a blur. Check out my little mouse with no feet or hands yet. Hopefully at least sideways works for you guys. We'll work on a little mouse face in a moment. And since we said kind of going highwayman with this mouse, let's see, we'll give him kind of some puffy sleeves. Paint all the tiny details, why not? We have one super detailed little guy up here in front. Message me, I'm off camera. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to move forward on getting this stuff done and not having you guys like staring at pencil sketch this whole time because we want to see some paint. I mean, I definitely want to see some paint. Alright. Excuse me. Alright, we're gonna do... I don't know, I feel like most mice would want to be barefoot if possible. I'm gonna go barefoot. I'm okay with doing these a little dark because I will probably go back over his feet with colored pencil. And where we put his tail. Okay. Let's see. Fix that shirt I kind of took out of their nose. And now shoot back. Alright. Do a couple whiskers. My whiskers are all sideways. Also, like, right in line with my shirt. I don't like that. It's one of those, like, this guy is so little. It's the downside sometimes with small detail. It's real easy to lose that detail real fast. I don't always work with such a blunt eraser. Sometimes I go ahead and break out my oh wow, man, my brain's gonna skip on me. Sometimes I go ahead and break out a kneadable eraser to go ahead and get some of those tiny details. I've heard a lot of good things about the Tombow Mono eraser. That one has, sometimes you'll see like a mechanical pencil and it'll have like a really skinny eraser. It's like maybe like a third of this diameter. Those are pretty good for detail, especially if you kind of wear it down on an angle. So you have kind of a sharpened edge that you're able to really get in there. A lot of times when you're drawing, or at least when I'm drawing, I have a thing about rotating the pencil often, so that way generally I won't have one area becoming too flat. I'll rotate it so I kind of maintain a sharpened edge, so I'll use kind of like the side of the lead. Alright, I think our mouse is looking pretty cute. I'm gonna show you, since my camera apparently wants everything up here, which is crazy because that's like 6 inches closer. Maybe I could try zooming a little bit more. I also don't want to have you guys like just see my hand in the way, so this is kind of a weird point. I think maybe I need to adjust some settings here. Well, I looked at the settings at least. None of these are doing what I need right now. Okay, so even with the zoom, my camera currently wants me like 6 inches away from the lens in order to go ahead and give us a nice zoom. Fun with technology. Alright. I'm going to have to do something with my camera then, because I don't want you guys just seeing a blur the whole time I'm drawing. And I'm going to hop over to chat just for a moment so I can see if anybody's gone ahead and commented. My phone's being slow. Alright. Hey, we have a viewer. I don't know if that's me. That's alright. Alright. So, we'll go ahead and get focused on this Dormouse. Hello, viewer! Which, you know, I know this is a really weird time for streaming, so I'm not offended at all that I might have low viewers because, well, I mean, people work, you know? But, in the very least, you'll have a interesting view as far as process and drawing. So you'll be able to see what's going on. I think we're definitely going more highwayman for this mouse. He's going to be in a fabulous little poet sleeve shirt. And I don't even have him finished drawing, let alone started painting. To help make the sleeves stand out a little bit more, we're going to do like a little waistcoat. Just going to add the tails in for the waistcoat, because I like the nice little pointed front. I think that's kind of classy. Very classy mouse. Alright. And then drag it slightly to the left. Throw in a little bit of shape there. Pop in a button. We're not going to do a collar for the jacket. Not for the jacket. We're not going to do a collar for the vest, because I feel like that's a very upper class, like maybe bankers would have that, or people with a lot more money. We have a slightly roguish little mouse here. some frills for this ascot, and this is really awkward. Hopefully I'm not wiggling too much for you guys. I'm trying to have this like closer to the lens, because yeah, that, I don't know, is it better for it to be wiggling, or is it better for it to be like blurry? It's just insane. Maybe I'll just need a new camera lens. So, work in progress. Alright, so I feel like we have enough detail on this mouse that we can go ahead and start popping in some color. I feel like this foot's a little flat though. Kind of angle it out a little bit. Angle those pins. I think we have enough detail. We can go ahead and start getting some paint on our Dormouse, which is, you know, the stream's gonna go a little long. Might as well. Alright. I think I have something that I can prop the mouse on. Maybe we could try painting this way. That base is not wide enough. Yeah, that's not the most stable either, and it's also not tall enough. I'm currently checking to see if maybe I have a box that's wide enough. Alright, so I'm going to take a look for just a moment, and we're going to keep this stream going. We're going to get some paint on this mouse. We're going to be able to pop some color, and we're going to end off on a high note. Alright, so I'm going to do the be right back. Alright, so hopefully that's better enough. I'm gonna see if I can paint like this. No joke, I am probably 5 inches from the lens over to here. So that doesn't leave me a lot of room to paint, so we're not gonna be doing wide brushstrokes anyway for this particular part, because the Dormouse is quite small. I'm going to be using my paint pretty dry. Yeah, that crazy colored bucket that you saw, I just borrowed that real quick. So I can go ahead and be closer up to the lens for the viewer that's with me. If that isn't me, thank you so much for hanging out and for your patience. I would really love if you comment, so that way I can get an idea of, you know, are you enjoying this? Is this crazy? I don't know. Also, I'm curious, you know, as far as opinions, polls, like, I want to know if this border that I have is maybe too distracting. It's something that I want to have up for the vote. I'm going to keep this mirror for messages because I think it is handy, but it is right now on the same layer as the border that I have. So if I go ahead and remove the border that's at the top and bottom, you feel like that might be less distracting, more interesting, I don't know. Let me know what you think, while I'm also kind of figuring out this camera angle issue now that, I don't know, I feel like maybe 1 inch away seems to be better. Like 1 further inch away seems to be better as far as like getting good focus. But my desk is only so big, and my camera does not want to stay so tight in this ball mount because, well, my camera's heavy. Maybe that works for the moment. Why are you so dark? I'm gonna switch the ISO from being manual because it keeps darkening automatically, and I don't like that. I want to keep this a bit brighter. Unfortunately, there's no stop in between the 800 and 400, so it's either real dark or almost too bright, where the exposure is like putting everything out. I might be able to adjust another part of my lens though. Okay, helps if I don't have my hands in the way while I go ahead and tweak some settings. Okay, why am I back in ISO? I'm not trying to adjust the ISO now, I'm trying to adjust my shutter. Oh great, we're low on battery. Alright, so I'm going to have to swap batteries on my camera. Apparently they don't last quite as long as I had hoped. I was hoping I can get 2 streams out of one charge. That is not the case. So I'm going to pop up the be right back comment, and we will be right back in just a second. The desktop part will still keep going, but the part where you can actually see what's going on my camera, that might disappear for just a sec. So, the joys of learning new technology. Thank you so much for your patience. Alright. That wasn't too bad. I have stuff organized as far as where my camera stuff is. I don't like that my screen turned off on the camera. I like to see it. So I'm going to paint this mouse upside down so you guys can see it right side up now that I'm done with sketching. Before I do that, I'll show you my palette real quick in case you weren't on the stream yesterday, since I have no video of that due to technical issues. So we'll just kind of sneak in. This is my current palette. It is a little chaotic for my taste, but I'm not somebody who can just decide only 12 colors to use. I had a very specific intention in mind for this palette. I wanted it made up of a lot of stops along the full color wheel, so I wanted a little bit of all the colors. I also wanted to have some dark colors that I can go ahead and just grab and immediately use to go ahead and bend my colors. I do have neutral tint on my palette, and yes, I can use that to go ahead and darken a lot of colors, but I also enjoy using some intensely deep colors sometimes. So like Indanthrone Blue, Dioxazine Violet, I use those a lot to go ahead and darken. Also playing around with some unusual colors on my palette for somebody who's trying to avoid using black. So I do have sepia as well as Payne's Gray. Both of those do contain black. Most of the colors on my palette are single pigments. There are a couple mixed pigments, so that being sap green, quinacridone gold, because the original PO49 is no longer available, and sepia, Payne's Gray, and neutral tint. I'm using M. Graham's neutral tint. By far, I love it. It is a mix, instead of using black, like a lot of neutral tints use black, this one is a combination of phthalo green, and I believe it is quinacridone violet. It is a PV19, PV19 pigments make up a lot of the quinacridones, so you'll have like pinkish shades, you'll have purplish shades, you'll have reddish shades, so that's why I'm like, I know it's PV19. Which PV19 is it? So that's alright. So now that I've rambled on about palettes a bit, trying to dip into some color. If I don't nudge stuff over, I'm going to have to work on my desk setup now that I'm realizing where my camera can actually get some focus, which is bloody insane to work with, because I have a small desk as it is. If you weren't on the stream yesterday, you know that it is a 15 by 11 work surface. Yeah, 15 by 11 for my work surface. So that is most of the active area of my desk. And now between this bucket, plastic bucket that I'm using, with the board propped up on it, that kind of cuts down my workspace and makes this a little awkward. So I'm hoping that I don't flip this while I'm trying to paint. As far as painting for the moment, we have a Princeton Velvet Touch round, number 8. It has a slightly worn point at this point. I'm probably only going to use this for like the broadest swath of color for this little Dormouse. So basically the spoon is closed, and then that's it. I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush. So we can go ahead and get this guy colored in. I think we'll do... I probably go with a coral. A really light coral to go ahead and pop in some color in his ears. Or in their ears, because I want to go with a neutral mouse. And I want a little dark on that edge. So normally I would just grab a paper towel, but my setup is so awkward right at this second that I can't reach my paper towels very easily, which is a terrible idea when you're doing watercolor. I have to reach across the camera for a second. I am one of those people that will go ahead and basically use a paper towel to death when it comes to watercolor. So that's my paper towel. Oh, this side's fairly empty still. But this was one of my kits for when I do a lot of painting on the road. I used to go ahead and take this set on the bus with me. Right, so we got some pink ears. Probably a little neutral tint for shadow. Just a touch. I want a little gray mouse. You know, no, I don't know. Yeah, the March hair provides some contrast, so we'll go ahead and stick with that then. Alright, and where is light coming from? Light is probably coming from over here. So we'll just add a little touch of shadow on the side of our mouse. So you guys will have to let me know in the comments if you like seeing the drawing process now that I can potentially do that without it being so blurry. Hopefully that'll be a lot more entertaining moving forward. Or if you prefer, like, just get on with it, like, just start painting. So we're gonna try to soften that line. And instead I've made a horrible blob of water. This is not the easiest, trying to paint upside down. Alright, and then that was neutral tint that I was using on the mouse's shadow, because I'm not sure if I might go in later and we might switch our mouse to a little brown mouse. You know what? Yeah, we're gonna stick with a white mouse because I'm gonna give them a cute little pink nose, and my wash was still wet, so we have a pink mouse. I'm probably gonna have to do so much retouching with colored pencil. Unless that dries like into a cool effect. We'll see. We'll see my little mouse with his ascot. I think I'm gonna have to pull this ahead. I'm gonna need a new bucket to go ahead and try to balance on if I can't get this set up a little bit better. Because I want to move the board to the point that you guys get to see random assortment of toys in the bucket all the time. It's like, this is not what I was shooting for. Let's do some color. We're gonna have I guess a little brash mouse here. We'll go with some sap green. We're gonna make it a little darker though. We're gonna add a little bit of dioxazine purple, which if you're into Daniel Smith's brand, it's Carbazole Violet. So I think we're gonna do maybe some like a huntery green for this little vest. I do want some color. I don't know, I'm kind of still working out this version of Wonderland. I kind of jumped into these prompts without too much thought, other than, hey, I love Wonderland, let's do it. So I'm still figuring out, like, the colors, the overall mood, the layout, so you're getting to explore this new version of Wonderland with me.
You forgot your sword! You forgot your sword! No. Get your sword! Get your two swords, you forgot them. Okay, let's do this. Hi. Hey, over here, Dad is lonely. Hey, look at me. Oh.
I think you got a charming little mouse now. Alright, and then what color are we thinking for some breeches? I'm kind of inclined to do a bit of a gray. Sorry, we're past the half hour point, so I got my small one gaming, you can hear her in the background. Even though I've explained we're streaming today and for the rest of the month. But this is the room where the PlayStation is, so, you know, that's life. Yeah, I like that. This is like a fairly watered down for the neutral tint, but deep enough to kind of give me like a slate color. This will blend right in with the graphite lines that we did. We'll see. That is dry enough. But for the spoon, we're not going to be dipping into that neutral tint. I'm actually going to do a different neutralizing pair instead. Just because I don't want to do everything too similar. So I think we'll do, you know, pick some colors that have the chance to break up a little bit. Because the neutral tint's already pre-mixed in the tube. But instead I'm going to go ahead and use a bit of Indanthrone Blue and some Quinacridone Burnt Orange. I really like that neutralizing pair. You can get everything from warm to cool neutrals, so it grays out quite well. You also get like some really wonderful brown colors too. And then for the shirt, this is where I would normally go ahead and pull up a little bit more of my graphite lines, so I can go ahead and do a little bit more detail in the shirt. So I can add maybe like some cream tones. But because of how tiny he is, I think I may just do a little bit of colored pencil for the shading. Let's see, we can probably pop in just a hint of that Quinacridone Coral. That's what we've been using for his hands. I would use it for his nose, but that blew out earlier. I think that's dry enough now that I can go ahead and pop in that little bit of color. So first we'll go in here. We don't have the hands very defined. I probably should do this with pencil instead, just because of how much more vibrant the colored pencil is, because it is more opaque. So it's one of those, like, transparent colors aren't quite what I'm looking for this right now. I'm actually going to mix a touch of neutral tint with the Quinacridone Coral. Make it kind of a muted pink for the nose, because I feel like the nose could be a little bit more neutralized with its little dot. And I'm just going to go in here. Alright, and if you join me tomorrow, you'll see how everything dried, and you'll also see a touch more detail, because I am one of those people who will be working on a little bit more off camera wherever I can to try to get us a little bit closer to on track. There's a little bit too much pink here. It's alright, we'll be able to correct that later. I'm not worried about if stuff goes a little awry on camera, because, you know what, it shows you that when you see the piece as this gets closer to finish, you'll see the differences in where it was on camera versus being worked on a little bit more. So whether that's extra washes, which I won't always have time to do extra washes on camera, and also finalizing details. Alright, so now I'm getting a little bit of the Indanthrone Blue. we're going to make that just a touch more gray by adding that quinacridone burnt orange. So that was a big consideration with this palette. Is I'm generally a lazy mixer. I tend to only do 2 colors for mixes because it's easier for me to remember. If I need to go back to it, I'm more likely to just get the mix right. So I don't like to just tool around with that a whole lot. And I mostly designed this palette, like when I was considering colors, is choosing neutralizing pairs. So it makes it very easy if I want to go ahead and darken a shade to where I want it. And I'm mixing up this blue at the same time. Like, talking and painting at the same time. And I'm still on the blue side. Sorry. Still a bit further on the orange side of this mix than I should be. And now it's too blue. I might actually go ahead and into the neutral tint if I don't have enough room to go ahead and make this mix work. And I'm getting green again. Okay, I think I'm grabbing the wrong color. This is what I get for switching mediums for a little bit. I'm getting reacquainted with my palette on screen, so that's fun. This should be my indanthrone blue. But maybe I had something else on there. Okay, so there's my blue. Sorry, now I'm mixing off camera, which is probably less interesting. And excuse me. There we go. Alright, I didn't have the mix tip far enough when I was mixing over here. I did just a little bit too much of the orange at first. And I was like, this mix is kind of giving me a green shade when I'm trying to shoot for a gray shade, and apparently I hadn't mixed it at that point before. I had this very awkward mix, and I was like, that is not the right color. I should not be getting this color. Alright, so we'll just pop a little bit of color on this spoon, and I think we are done for today. So, let's see. We do have our light source coming from here. So the spoon is going to tend to be a little bit lighter on this side, but we want to convey depth in the bowl of the spoon. And we got the shadow cast from the body. And I feel like this mix is still a little looking green. I don't know, maybe I have something in my Cranburn orange, because this is still not the color that I'm expecting. That's alright, we'll leave it as is, because it is working well with the colors that's already on our mouse here. So it looks like it's a lot of green is getting picked up in the shadows, localized color from the mouse. So I'm not mad about it. I'm just a little bit off. All right. I need a little bit of clean water. So I do want to get this to go ahead and blend on its own just a touch. Alright, and this is the fun thing about watercolor that can be absolutely frustrating, is sitting here, you have these colors together, darken this just a touch more, and then just having to wait for it to blend and dry and do its thing, and that's where I think watercolor is kind of magical. You end up having things change unexpectedly because watercolor is a little bit wild and chaotic. As long as you let it. I mean, you can try to be a control freak about everything, but I don't think that's a great way to go about it. That's more the style that I used to do when I was working with Inktense pencils. It was very controlled, and try to relax a little bit about that. I think I will need to go ahead and do secondary shading on just about everything on this poor little mouse. Actually, I can pop in a little bit of that. Trying to get more done on screen for you guys to see. So I'm grabbing a little bit more of the neutral tint. I'm just going to add a little bit of shading to those breaches. Since those are really dry, it should be good with adding some more color without disturbing the other details. I'm going to hope that I don't tip my tray over. I probably should have switched over to a finer paintbrush, but I decided to be stubborn and keep going on with this this number 8. We're dot on his little buttons. Oh, not so much the other one because that's in shadow. I add a little too much into that wash. Right, and it looks like the vest is dry, so I'm going to add in a little bit of shading here as well. And that's the fun thing about neutral tint. You can just glaze right over another color. Get my brush a little drier. I want to soften that edge as much as I can, considering the size of our subject here. Alright, and I think we got a cute little mouse that needs a little more shadow in that spoon. That's already blown out too much. That's the rescue take with a wash. Come in here. I did just grab the neutral tint. I'm fine with that. And I feel like this needs a little more color too, even though I think I need to pop some highlights back in. I think I went too dark. That's alright. Alright. So we got a Dormouse. Yay! And I've only gone... I like 5 minutes over the longest I said the stream would be. Oh well, that's alright. Alright, so hopefully you had fun and enjoyed watching the process of this happy little mouse. And we'll go ahead and detail those whiskers in when we get closer to the rest of the tea party being in place. So, yeah, a lot of fun. And while I'm rambling on closing, just a touch more. And I did too much. Back in, soften that, add a little bit more there. There we go. Alright, we have an adorable little dormouse. Alright, so bye for now, and see you tomorrow.